So hey guys, how are you all guys? So I will begin with second part of the series. The series name is What If Naruto Fall in Love Back Wido. So let's start it. Fucking him of all people? Naruto growled as he aimed his hand at the barely held together twitching body of the demon whose name he didn't even bother to learn. At this point, Jeff was but a head, a lung and a heart. Kill me. The head of Jeff spoke before Naruto fired blue flames at it. The flames consumed every piece of Jeff as he screamed. Naruto rubbed his hair as he looked around. The demon Jeff's master was someone he knew all too well. Being so powerful he lived in his own dimension and took up most of the space in there. Why would that guy of all people want to kill him? Taking a deep breath, Naruto turned to watch the burning corpse. He needed a plan. Sure, he could try to run, but then he'd have to take the whole team with him. Plus that guy could and would follow him to the ends of the earth. What should have been a relatively easy mission was turning out to be a pain in the ass. What to do? With a grunt, Naruto disappeared from the rooftop. XXX. Yo, Maddie jumped as Naruto appeared behind her. How are things going on your end? Naruto asked as he stared at the laptop screen. Right now I don't know, Maddie said as she typed at fast speeds. I found a bunch of spyware in the laptop and on the drones. Someone was watching the girls in the forest, and you on the rooftop. I'm currently wiping out the spyware before I start watching the girls again. Good work spotting, Naruto said before rubbing his hair. How long until we can see them again? Not long, just 2 minutes. Okay then. Meanwhile, okay, it's official. I'm so bored. Brand yawned as they walked through the enchanted forest for what felt like hours. Hey Mads, come in Mads. Something must be up, Nat said. She's been radio silent for a while now. Focus you too, Jessica said, a serious look on her face. The enemy might strike while we're relaxed. Got it. The three women walked for what felt like hours before Jessica suddenly paused, causing her teammates to tense up and assume fighting stances. I saw something, Jessica said as she stared straight ahead. For a split second the trees shifted and moved. So we're dealing with something that has. Look out! Something blurred into view and tried to tackle Jessica. Said woman easily jumped out of the way and the thing slammed head first into a tree. What the fuck is that? Brand yelled as got into a fighting stance, flaming sword held at the ready. It looks like a Wendigo. Nat yelled, we might need your sword for this one, Brand. The thing growled out before it turned to the women. The creature was tall and bipedal with a deer skull for a head and glowing red eyes in the sockets with bits of rotted flesh hanging off the bone. On top of its head were giant antlers and a mane of dirty brown fur. Most of its body was also covered in fur and its arms were so long the damn things went past its knees. It had muscular legs with hooves for feet. With an inhuman roar, the Wendigo charged once more, long arms swiping and clawing at the woman. On each of its hand were 4 long fingers with razor-sharp claws. Damn it! Brand grunted as she swung her sword to block the attack heading her way, only for the flaming sword to slice off the whole hand, almost like a hot knife through butter. The Wendigo roared in pain but still tried attacking again. It went for Brand once more, but a kick to its torso from Jessica sent it flying into a couple of trees. The Wendigo quickly got to its feet but was quickly punched into the ground by Nat. Disoriented, the Wendigo couldn't move in time to dodge the large tree that impaled it. Jessica had grabbed a large branch and impaled the Wendigo from behind. While the creature roared in pain, Brand went right for the kill, slicing its head off in one blow. Well, that was easy? Brand said as they stared at the Wendigo head before them. Damn, I love these things, Nat said as she admired the golden gauntlets she had on. We better set this thing on fire, Jessica said as the 2 women turned to her. The Jessica, look out! Meanwhile at the Legion of SNU. You ladies ever wonder what would happen if you mixed the blood of a god and that of a Wendigo? Umar asked as Satana and Mephisto shook their heads. They were all staring at the mirror that showed footage of the enchanted forest. Umar's enchanted forest. Well, I borrowed some from Loki, Umar said as she smirked. The effects are intense to say the least. XXX. Grunting, groaning and moaning was heard as the headless body of the Wendigo suddenly stood up, the body twitching before bulging into a grotesque blob of skin and fur. Is that thing gonna explode? Or Brand asked as they all took a couple of steps back. Or turn into something else? Nat added. Or maybe both. Hit the deck. Jessica yelled just as the blob exploded in a flash of light. All 3 women quickly hid behind trees to avoid the explosion. I know I didn't do that well on my Wendigo biology studies, but are they supposed to do that? Brand asked. her body stiff against the tree she was hiding behind. "It's not," Nat replied from the side as Jessica took a peek. "What the actual fuck?" Brand and Nat looked at each before they took a look. It was a man. An adult human male with short brown hair and pale blue eyes. His body was that of a toned and muscular man. There was just one thing missing. "Damn, that's a good-looking man," Brand commented as the other two stared at her blankly. "What? He is. Yeah, if you ignore the fact that he's made from leftover Wendigo meat. Don't forget he ain't got no dick," Jessica said as they all stared at the man's dongless crotch. "It's freaky." The man took in a deep breath before he looked at his hands. "My master told me to kill Constantine. Where is he?" His voice was rough from lack of use probably, but still abnormally smooth. The girls remained silent. "ICCU," the man said before in a burst of speed appeared beside Jessica. "Die." He threw a punch that Jessica ducked under, the fist shattering the tree before it. Jessica quickly countered with an uppercut that sent the former Wendigo flying. The man then paused mid-flight. "Strong, so very strong," he said before his gaze turned and Nat, What about you?" Well no," but before Abby could finish the man appeared before her in an instant and grabbed her by the neck. You're not strong?" the man said as he looked at Abby as he choked her out. He slowly lifted her off the ground as he stared at her in curiosity. Suddenly the man hissed in pain before quickly dropping the green-haired woman. Abby coughed and took in air as she quickly got to her feet and ran away from the man she had stabbed. The man looked down at the sword sticking out of his gut before he grabbed its hilt and yanked it out. He looked at the sword in his arms before throwing it at Nat. Natasha Romanoff was many things: smart, badass and confident in her ability to fight. She'd even dodged a bullet that one time, but this time. Nat blinked once and she had found herself impaled with a sword. She looked down at Brand's sword that was buried in her gut. At least it wasn't on fire. How Nat spat out a glob of blood before falling on her side. "Nat!" screamed Brand in shock and horror. "Weak, you are all weak," the man spoke as he spread out his arms. In a flash of green light, a black pants and boots appeared on his person. "I couldn't find the shirt. I'm gonna rip that son of a bitch apart," growled out Abby as green flames burst from her right hand. "Eat flames, you dickless bastard." With that she fired a torrent of flames at the man. Said man quickly moved to the side. Brand kept on firing and the man kept on dodging. "Stop moving, you dickless swine," she growled out as her flames intensified. Meanwhile, Jessica had quickly ran over to where Nat was while Brand distracted the thing. "Wido, talk to me," Jessica said as she helped the wounded redhead. "Sorry to say, Wido, but we're gonna need that sword." This only got a groan from the barely awake woman. "Okay, on three, and Jessica yanked the sword out of Black Widow's gut. "I don't know any healing spells, so you just have to hang on. Naruto should be here any second," Jessica said as she gently propped Widow up against the tree. She looked back at Brand fighting against the thing and frowned. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to be an easy in and out mission. "Damn it, where are you, big blonde idiot? Hold still, damn it!" Brand growled out as she fired another jet of flames that the man easy dodged. Why would I do that?" "I want to live," the man said as he titled his head to the side. "What a foolish demand." "Oh, how cute, it thinks it's alive," Brand said as she smirked, a bead of sweat running down the side of her head. "Oh, but I am alive. I breathe and have a heart, and most importantly, I have a name," the man said before moving to the side and dodged the tree that was thrown at him. "Fine then," Brand said. Her breathing heavy, she fired and another stream of green flames. "What is it? What is what?" "Your name, damn it." "My name is XXX, Motor," Umar said as Mephisto and Satana stared at her. "Did you practice that?" Mephisto asked with a raised eyebrow. "No." "Moving on, what exactly is Motor?" Satana asked as looked at the image of Mordor through the magic mirror. "Funny things happen when you mix Asgardian blood with Wendigo blood," Umar said as she smirked savagely. She guessed it to the mirror and Motor easily fought the two mortal women. "My son is a XXX fucking false demigod," Naruto growled as a red aura began to emit from his body. If it's that thing, then you have to get them out," Maddie said as she stared at the laptop in horror. "You have to save them." "I can't. I've been trying, but the bloody forest seems to be protected," Naruto growled out as pulled out a sling ring from his coat pocket. He tried opening a portal, but all it did was make sparks. "Useless piece of shit. We have to do something," Maddie said as Naruto seemed to glare at the floor before he ran a hand through his hair. "Tell them to hang in there. I'm going to get help." Naruto said before vanishing in a flash of gold. Maddie bit her lip as she stared at the fight. She was waiting for the perfect time to talk to any one of the two. During a fight, any single disturbance could lead to distraction, and with how fast Motor was. As soon as Motor slapped Abby away and was distracted with Jessica, Maddie took her chance. Abby, Naruto can't teleport into the forest. Something's keeping him out, but he says to hang on. Roger that. Abby groaned out, making Maddie wince. I'm so useless. XXX. In a flash of gold, Naruto appeared before the gates of a giant mansion. The gates had a giant X on them. With a wave of his right hand, the gates opened and Naruto strolled in. Ileana's wards are getting better, he muttered before vanishing with a flash and appearing at the doorstep. The doors burst open and a man with sunglasses came walking out. As soon as he spotted Naruto, the man proceeded to stomp his way towards the blonde. Oh boy, Naruto muttered before the man punched him in the face. The punch sent Naruto to the ground as he hit his face. What the hell are you doing here, you bastard? The man growled out as he pointed at Naruto. Get out now! Leave him alone, Scott! A red-haired woman called out as she quickly ran to Naruto's side. Jean, get away from him! Scott said as he tried to grab Jean. He's hurt, Jean said as she helped Naruto up. I need to take him to the infirmary. Scott narrowed his eyes before walking away in a rage. Ah, Mr. Constantine, welcome. A bald man in a futuristic wheelchair was there to greet them. Next to him were three people. A man with long, wild, spiky hair and a cigar in his mouth. A beautiful dark-skinned woman with white hair and a giant man made out of metal. Suddenly a disc-like portal opened and a beautiful blonde jumped out. Rudo, you came! The woman said with a grin. Come to marry your bride finally? Naruto seems to be hurt. Perhaps we should take this to the infirmary? The bald man said as the man with the cigar laughed. I don't smell blood, Chuck, the man said. Logan, please. Stop pretending so we can get this over with. The blonde said as Naruto put his hand down from his face, showing he was perfectly fine. There's no way a wimp like Scott Summers can hurt my Hellblazer. Yeah, well, I wanted to make him feel better, Naruto said with a small smile. Hello, Professor. Thanks for telling Scott I was coming, by the way. Actually read over there, screamed your name, Logan said with a laugh. It's been a while, Constantine. Logan, Naruto nodded at the man before turning to the woman, Ororo. Naruto. The two just stared at each other before both looked away. What is it you want, Constantine? The metal man said as he stepped up. I'm here for Ileana, Naruto said as he turned to the blonde-haired woman. I need your help. Magic isn't going anywhere. Scott Summers, who the author totally forgot about, said as he grabbed Naruto by his coat. Get you. Shut up, Naruto said, and with a wave of his hand Scott's mouth disappeared. The brown-haired man's eyes widened before he began to panic. Jessica is in danger. Ileana instantly stepped up. Let's go then, she said as she held out her hand. A disc-like portal opened. We have to pass through limbo before we can get to her. Naruto nodded as both stepped into the portal. Why didn't you stop him? As soon as Naruto had left, the spell on Scott was lifted. You know how he is. He's dragged magic to her doom. That's enough, Scott, the professor said as Scott bit his lip and kept quiet. Listen, Shades, we get that you hate Constantine because of the whole he fucked your girl thing. But think about it. That guy can literally do what every single person in this mansion can. We've all seen what he can do, Wolverine said as he sighed. The point Logan is trying to make is that he asked for help. Ororo pitched in as she narrowed her eyes and thought, something big is happening. That's why we shouldn't have let her go. Scott growled out as he glared at Storm. Of course you'd defend him. After all, you too. The room suddenly got extremely cold. Naruto seems to tolerate that attitude because he feels pity for you. I, on the other hand, will blast you with lightning if you even mutter one more word. Storm growled out as she glared at her teammate. I'd like to see you try, Scott growled back as he grabbed the side of his shades. Both of you, enough! The professor said as he banged his fist on the armrest of his chair. We will have this discussion another time. Scott snorted and walked away with Jean following close behind. Storm nodded before walking away with Colossus silently following her. You favor Shades a little too much, Chuck, Logan grunted as he breathed out a puff of smoke. Ever since that night he's been walking around like someone pissed in his cereal, frankly. I'm sick of his attitude, and if you don't do something about it someone might. With that, Wolverine walked away. Charles Xavier sighed. Scott had been acting a bit out of character. Perhaps a bit of tuning was in order. XXX. I don't get why Limbo does this to you, Naruto muttered as Ileana held his hand. It is what it is. A teenage-looking Ileana said as she smirked. Are you going to hand me your coat or let me walk around naked? You're doing this deliberately, aren't you? Naruto sighed out as he ran his hand through his hair before he took off his coat and handed it to her. I honestly don't know what you're on about, Ileana replied with a smile as she took the jacket and covered up her nudity. Now let's brainstorm on how to get to Jessica. You caught on, huh? Naruto muttered as he turned to gaze at Limbo. Limbo was what one would describe as the aftermath of Armageddon. The sky was red/orange, and the city around the two blondes was in shambles, destroyed buildings and houses everywhere. Wido, you can do everything I can do, Ileana said as she glared at him. Tell me what's happening. Jess is stuck in a place I can't get to and she's in danger, Naruto said as he ran a hand through his hair. I don't know what to do. Just relax, Ileana said as she slowly pushed him until he fell on a chair she had conjured up. Limbo was Ileana's playground. She could do with it as she pleased. Though changing the entire world was a bit taxing on her magic, you know time works differently here. You have all the time to think. Indeed he did. There was no passage of time in Limbo. All was frozen in a single moment. So one could spend 100 years in Limbo, and it wouldn't matter, although one would age as normal. As Naruto sat on the comfy chair, Ileana gently straddled him. Just relax and let me take care of you, Ileana said as she reached down and unzipped the crotch of his trousers. Ileana, we can't, Naruto muttered. Oh? But you're so fucking hard for me, Ileana whispered as she put her hand through the opening and grabbed his cock in a firm grip. Ileana, that's enough. Naruto growled out as Ileana stared at him blankly. Did you know you have tails? Ileana suddenly asked. When you're nervous you run your hand through your hair once. When you're scared you do it more than once. Now that scares me. The most powerful man in the world is afraid. The most resourceful man in the world doesn't know what to do. Ileana, you're nervous. All I want to do is calm you down, Ileana said as her tone softened. Even though you won't say it out loud, we all know how you feel about Jessica. You're not thinking straight and I want to calm you down in the only way I know how. I hate that I have to make you do this, Naruto said as Ileana smiled at him. I don't, she smirked as pulled out his cock. Now think while I handle the rest. With that the blonde began moving her hand up and down. Many thoughts ran through his hand as Ileana jerked him off, theories and ideas on what to do about breaking the barrier. He had a few devil arms that could easily break the barrier along with everything inside. Ileana had spat into her hand and was now jerking him off faster. Maybe Yamato? No, he couldn't control that thing. He might just end up cutting a hole through the fabric of time and space, killing all known life in this dimension. Saving that one for later. Ileana had now stopped jerking him off and put his dick under her bare pussy. She then began grinding herself against him. Oh fuck. She moaned out. Maybe rebellion? Nah, it wasn't strong enough, but at the same time it was too strong. Most of the S-class devil arms he had were like that, either completely useless or just too overpowered. Maybe spells? He had billions of them, but only the enhancement breakers could actually help on this one, and that would take literally hours. Time that he didn't have. Oh fuck, I need you and me. Oh fucking shit. Ileana suddenly moaned as she lifted herself up a bit, grabbed his dick and lined it up against her soaking slit. She then lowered herself and engulfed his cock into her extremely tight pussy. Oh fuck yeah. Holy shit, Naruto groaned, almost going brain dead at how tight Ileana was. We shouldn't do this. So fucking big, Ileana moaned out as she wrapped her arms around his neck, began fucking herself on him, bouncing hard and fast. My husband is so fucking big. Damn it, Ileana, Naruto groaned before quickly vanishing his coat. With Ileana's fully nude body now exposed to him, the blonde's hands quickly went to her hips and he began meeting her thrusts with his own. Yeah, put a baby in me. Breed me. Ileana howled as her hands grabbed the back of his head. Damn, Ileana, you're being weird. He growled out as he increased his pace. Breed me. Let's start a house together. Ileana suddenly pulled back his head and kissed him, her tongue diving into his mouth. Meanwhile something clicked in Naruto's mind. A house. Holy shit. The house, his house. Ileana, we have to go, Naruto said as he felt Ileana tighten her grip. Just a bit more. We have to make babies. Ileana was literally drooling as she bounced on his shaft. Naruto gritted his teeth before his hand came up, grabbed the back of Ileana's head and brought her in close. Will you marry me? That one question set Ileana off, and with a screech she orgasmed. Her pussy was tightening so hard around Naruto that he also came. As Ileana trembled on top of him, Naruto let her ride her orgasm out. He'd already discovered the solution to saving Jessica and the others. It was his house. XXX, New York Sanctum. What do you want, Constantine? The Ancient One growled. She already knew what he wanted. He was here for it. As soon as the enchanted forest appeared in the middle of Hell's Kitchen, she was quick to investigate. She had tried breaking the barrier around it, but she couldn't. The only way was to destroy the whole thing along with everyone inside, so out of curiosity, she used the eye of Agamotto and peered into the forest. She let out a sigh of relief at the fact that she asked first and shot later. Jessica Jones, the Hellblazer's jewel, was in there, and if she had destroyed the thing he would have come for her. That was a fight she doubted she would win. I want my house back, Naruto growled out. He didn't have his trademark trench coat, just a normal white dress shirt with his red tie undone. Something that powerful cannot be left in the hands of the likes of you, the Ancient One replied as she glared at the blonde. The house was one of the most powerful things in the universe, an object of limitless power that had fallen in the hands of Constantine by pure chance. A few years ago, when Constantine was still new to the supernatural, he and the Daywalker had gone off to Las Vegas on some vampire hunting. Somehow they had stumbled upon Cain the Immortal and played poker with him. Somehow Constantine had won. Since the blade has shit luck, the poker game, and the prize was a house. At first Constantine thought nothing of it, having no idea what it was, and just went about his life. But she did. The many tracking spells she put on him detected the link between him and the house, so she quickly pounced, severing the link and attaching it to herself. And with that she was blessed with unlimited power. She no longer had to drain energy from the dark dimensions. No, she could just leech off/borrow from the house, an object of so much power. So when Constantine came for it after finding out what it was, she sent him away with guilt. The Ancient One rubbed all his past mistakes in his face, all the people that had died on his watch. For someone so powerful, he carried his guilt with him everywhere. It was kind of pathetic, really. So with that she kept it. The House of Mysteries was hers now. I don't fucking care, Naruto said. He unbuttoned the buttons on his cuffs and pulled up the sleeves, making the Ancient One take a step back in shock. Jessica needs my help, even if I have to hurt you. The Ancient One gulped as she looked at Naruto in fright. Having the Hellblazer show up on your doorstep was one thing, but without his beloved trenchcoat and his sleeves rolled up? You are fucked. She was fucked. I can help you. We can save Ms. Jones together, the Ancient One said as she tried to keep herself calm. But I keep the house after we give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, a voice suddenly said, making them all turn to the mystery person. It was a woman, and she was purple. The woman had purple skin, light purple eyes, and blood-red hair that fell to the small of her back. She was tall with big breasts and shapely hips. Also she was completely naked. The Ancient One blinked, and she was suddenly on the ground. It was like some unknown force was keeping her down. But how? She groaned out as the woman walked to the Ancient One and stepped on her bald head. You think you serve the link I have with my master? You just added yourself to our contract. You don't even have full access to all of my power. You've only been using 5%, the woman said as she grounded the Ancient One's face into the floor. So you're the house? Naruto asked as the purple woman smiled. Yes, master, this one is at your service, the woman said as she bowed. I need your help, Naruto said as the woman nodded. If Mistress Jessica is in need of this one's help, then this one will help, the woman said. Brace yourself, master. This one shall now break through the barrier and get you in. With a snap of her fingers, everyone in the temple vanished. XXX. Motor stared at the barley-conscious woman with a frown. He was bored now. There was no longer any fun in beating a broken toy. Jessica Jones was beaten to a bloody pulp. Both her eyes were swollen shut. Her cheeks had swelled up and her lip was busted up badly. With his hand around her neck as he held her off the ground, Motor began choking her. He turned his gaze to the green-haired woman whose face was missing her lower jaw, and with both her arms missing, he pulled out her arms cause they made fire, and fire was a big no-no for him. Her jaw cause she kept on talking. Honestly, he wanted to rape her, but, due to reasons beyond himself, he couldn't, so beating her to a pulp was the next best thing. Strangely, even with half her face gone, he could still hear slowly choking on her blood. The red-haired one was probably dead. He honestly didn't really care. His mother said to keep the Hellblazer's jewel alive, but it was honestly getting hard. Suddenly, Motor felt a burst of power before a house of all things suddenly burst into the forest. While before he could even speak, the arm holding the jewel was no longer there. Jess, a blond man in a trenchcoat, said. In his arms was the jewel. Judging by the trenchcoat, Motor knew this was the Hellblazer. Motor quickly jumped back. Somehow, the man had cut off his arm and saved the jewel from falling, all in under a fraction of a second. Dangerous! Motor's instincts screamed. Green energy quickly covered the stump of an arm, and with a grunt Motor grew it back. That's a neat trick. A voice called from the house as its doors opened and a trenchcoat-less Hellblazer stepped out. Get her inside. You got it, boss. The Hellblazer in the trenchcoat spoke before in a flash of light, he and the jewel vanished. Rebellion, come to me, the Hellblazer said. Motor quickly had to duck as a giant sword flew past where his head had been and into the Hellblazer's outstretched hand. It was the sword that cut off my hand at first. He threw it so fast I couldn't even. A false god, Hellblazer said as vanished from his spot and appeared right in front of Motor. The blonde's eyes were glowing blue as he fixed Motor with a hateful glare. I'm gonna enjoy killing you. The magical pressure being released by the Hellblazer was making Motor actually sweat, which he honestly didn't know he could do. His whole body was trembling and he couldn't move. What is this? Why do I suddenly feel the need to run and hide behind my mother's dress? My dear boy, what you are feeling is called fear. But lucky for you, Mommy is here to help. Motor quickly jumped back, barely avoiding a slash from the scary sword. He knew if that sword touched him, he was well and truly fucked, but the Hellblazer was just as if not faster than him. The weight of the giant hellish sword was the only thing slowing him down. Motor pumped more magic through his body, engulfing his form in a green aura and ran, his form blurring towards the trees. Motor quickly moved to the trees, making sure to jump around as fast as he could, as Hellblazer would be too preoccupied with trying to find him. Then Motor would find an opening and... Neat trick, the Hellblazer said as he threw the sword. Motor quickly jumped to the next tree just as the sword obliterated the tree he was on just a moment ago. The sword itself flew off into the sky. Motor blinked and the Hellblazer was before him, his hand wrapped around the false god's throat. Motor gripped the hand with all his strength, attempting to pry the fingers off his throat to no avail. When I brought out the sword I wanted to end it quickly, but I've changed my mind. Since I can't go after your master, I'll make you suffer instead, the Hellblazer growled as his grip tightened, his fingers going deep into Motor's neck. Mother, help me. Oh my poor baby, just say the magic words. Master Dormammu. Motor choked out before a burst of magic came from his body and sent the Hellblazer back, with a green aura around his form. Motor sped towards the stunned blonde and punched him in the face. The blow sent the blonde flying through trees and to the ground. Well, that whole kill you later thing backfired, the blonde said as he rubbed his bruised cheek. Motor frowned at that. He'd been aiming to knock his head off or snap his neck at least. Despite what his mother thought, the Hellblazer was extremely powerful. Mother wanted to observe the Hellblazer some more, which was impossible considering the man's strength. The Hellblazer was more powerful than Motor, something the false god did not like one bit. If you could bring me a drop of his blood, that would make me very happy. His mother's voice rang through his head and he nodded. This was a losing fight for him, but if his objective was just to acquire a drop of blood, then he'd get the blood and flee immediately after. Motor quickly pumped as much magic through his body as he could, the action increasing his strength, speed and agility to unprecedented levels, and he lunged at the Hellblazer. With a mighty roar, Motor appeared before the blonde human, the man's eyes widening for a fraction of a second before he was uppercut and sent flying. Motor scanned where the Hellblazer would be landing and appeared there in an instant. He then reared his fist back and as the Hellblazer got closer he punched in the back, sending him flying again. Motor did this again and again, making sure to hit the blonde with as much power as he could. On his next attack he grabbed the blonde by his shirt, quickly scanning for blood. He found none. Growling in frustration, Motor threw the blonde into some trees as green magic appeared in his hands. Maybe magic would make the Hellblazer bleed. He quickly flew to where the Hellblazer was going to land, and as the blonde did, he struck. The punch had a shockwave that sent wind and dust everywhere. Not only that, but it sent the Hellblazer flying out of the forest. Motor quickly appeared before the Hellblazer, grabbed him by the leg and threw him down with all his might. As they descended, the false god covered himself in a sphere of hardened aura, creating an ethereal cannonball with him in the center, and launched himself towards the falling man, slamming into him and sending them both down to earth. The impact against the soil from their landing caused ground to break underneath them and already weakened foundations to give way for a small canyon to be formed. The loud boom was heard for miles all around. Motor grunted as he slowly floated out of the massive crater he and the Hellblazer had formed. His body was bruised from the impact, but he knew it was enough to make the Hellblazer bleed. Wow, that was cool! Motor turned to the feminine voice and his eyes widened. The damned house from before was right in front of him. How it had gotten here he did not know. The owner of the voice was a naked young blonde woman seated on a couch on the house's porch wearing 3D glasses of all things. Next to her was a naked purple-skinned woman who fed her popcorn. All that. Motor froze at that voice. This shouldn't have been possible. The Hellblazer should have at least fallen unconscious. But he was proven wrong as the blonde floated out of the crater. Motor gazed at the Hellblazer's form in pure shock and horror. For a drop of blood, the Hellblazer was fine. Even his clothes weren't torn, soiled with dirt, but not a single rend. But most of all, the blonde had a split lip with a bit of blood leaking out of the small gash. All his work, all his struggle, all the strain he had put himself through, and he had achieved nothing except to give the man an insignificant cut that was even healing. Guess it's my turn. Motor blinked, and the Hellblazer was before him. He was then uppercut so hard he went flying. While Motor was in mid-air, Naruto appeared before him. The blonde demon slayer grabbed the Motor by the arms, then planted his feet firmly on the false god's chest and pulled. Ah! Motor screamed in pain as his arms were forcefully pulled out of their sockets. Naruto then proceeded to use said arms as makeshift batons and slammed them onto Motor so hard he was sent to the ground. Motor felt his spine shatter as he hit the ground. So much power! Don't get up on my account, the Hellblazer drawled before he threw one of the arms into Motor's chest like a dart. Motor groaned as he tried to will his magic to heal himself, keyword being tried. Yeah, your little healing trick won't work this time, the Hellblazer muttered as he knelt down next to Motor's head. The blonde then shoved his hand inside Motor's mouth. In your condition you can't bite down even if you wanted to, which makes it easy for me to do this. The blonde then pulled off Motor's lower jaw. The false god could do nothing but gurgle on his own blood. I'm going to wait 10 minutes for you to choke on your own blood and feel every single iota of pain your beaten body is feeling. The Hellblazer smirked as Motor's body glowed a dull red before his gurgling got louder and his body began thrashing. Multiplying your pain by 100, that's gotta hurt. You better die soon, my friend. And so Naruto sat, his pale blue eyes fixed on the false god as he slowly perished. Eventually, he died and his body slowly began disintegrating into ashes. Didn't know that happened to false gods, Naruto muttered as he got and walked towards the house. Your husband is impressive as always, mistress, the House of Mystery said as she bowed. Of course he is, Ileana grinned as she got off the couch. You were amazing, beloved. I haven't seen you that pissed in a long time. This is bad, Ileana, Naruto said as he entered the house followed by Ileana and the house. The thing that sent Motor after us is called Dormammu. Ileana froze as her eyes widened in horror. She did find it odd that Naruto was still on edge even after beating the false god. Why, you mean him? Why is he after you? I don't know, Naruto muttered as he ran a hand through his hair. But I need to be prepared. Who knows what's coming next? So what do we do? Ileana asked. I need to get stronger, Naruto replied as Ileana looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Need I remind you that you are ranked number 3 on the strongest beings on Earth? You could blow up a Asuna if you wanted to. But one thing is clear, Ileana said. And what's that? That you've peaked, you know this. That's why you're panicking. You're at your limit right now and I honestly doubt you will get stronger anytime soon, Ileana said as she rubbed her hair. Maybe the house can help. I'm afraid this one cannot help you, the purple woman spoke. Why? Ileana asked. It is a long story, and this one would be so bold as to ask for the masters to go to the study? Sure, in the blink of an eye, they found themselves a large study with most of the books scattered. Excuse the mess, master and mistress, the one called the Ancient One rampaged through here, dirty whore, the woman muttered as she began picking up the books and parchments scattered about. Would you mind explaining why you can't help us? Naruto asked as he took a seat behind the desk. Ileana grinned before she took a seat right on Naruto's lap. This one had split itself into two upon realizing that the one called the Ancient One had done. Since this one could not force herself on you, this one still wanted to be with you, and so this one teleported to the one place that was close to the master's heart. The house spoke. This one made a grave error. Where is your other half? Ileana asked as Naruto's eyes widened. Tell me you didn't. Naruto whispered. This one is sorry, but this one did. Okay, where the fuck is this bloody thing? It's in. Ever heard of Silent Hill, Umar? Lady Death asked with a smirk. How she did that with a skull for a head is anyone's guess. No, I haven't, Umar muttered as Satana and Mephisto stared at her in shock. That's what that started it all. How do you not know all this? Mephisto said as Umar shrugged. I could care less what happens in this dimension, Umar drawled out. The sleepy little town of Silent Hill. Mephisto in his infinite wisdom decided that rather than swindle a few humans into giving up their souls to him, he could take an entire town's worth of souls instead. A little town that no one would notice existed. So he did. He made plans and executed them. But what he didn't count on was for a certain blonde to be in town that day, Death said, her smirk growing. Poor Nero was performing an exorcism that day when he suddenly found himself in hell. Oh, I remember that, Mephisto said as she looked thoughtful. Little Astrid was so cute back then, now she's just... Wait, Astrid is alive? Satana said as she looked at Mephisto. Does Constantine know this? No, he does not, Mephisto smirked. Father wanted to use Astrid and the fact that Silent Hill is still around. But I wanted to give it to Naruto as a wedding gift. Who's Astrid? Umar asked as the others stared at her blankly. Do you know nothing, you dumb bitch? Watch it, young lady, I'm still your grandmother. So the House of Secrets is in Silent Hill, Ileana said as Naruto nodded. The second part of the House of Mysteries was now dubbed the House of Secrets. And Silent Hill was destroyed, Naruto muttered. Which means the House of Secrets is gone with it. Actually, Master, this one can still feel it. The House of Secrets and Silent Hill are still fully intact. What? Naruto asked as his eyes widened. What did you just say? Hey sis, I found your spyware, Maddie said, cutting off her brother. Never do that again. Look, Maddie, I heard some bad things about that spooky Naruto guy and don't you dare call him that. Oh, okay, sorry, I won't. Amadeus Cho apologized. Look sis, I saw everything that happened in that forest, and I honestly don't want you being a part of it. You can come work for me instead. That sounds great, right? I distinctively remember telling you not to go build weapons for the government. Did you listen to me? No, you didn't, so why should I? Maddie asked as she folded her arms across her chest. And I'm not gonna work for you. Maybe if you asked me to work with you I would think about it. But I bonded with Abby and Nat. You mean Black Widow? Amadeus Cho asked with wide eyes. You're on a first-name basis with her? Yeah, we talked a low. Do you by any chance have her number? Wanna help out your brother get a date? Amadeus Cho smiled, hope filling his eyes. No, Maddie blankly said, making her brother pause. But why? Amadeus whined. She's perfect for me. She's a pathological liar and has probably had sex with over 100+ people. You, my naive little brother, can't spot a lie even if it was shoved in your face, Maddie said as Amadeus stared at her in shock. Aren't you friends with her? Yeah, we're friends, sort of. Maddie muttered. Look, I don't want my brother dating someone like that. I'd rather you found a nice girl that you can talk to without her trying to gain something from it. Someone like Abby, the green-haired one? Isn't she dead? Naruto said she's alive and kicking. Maddie shrugged. Brand wears her heart on her sleeve, which means you can tell what she's thinking just by looking at her. Girls like that won't go behind your back and spy on you. Well, if she did you would know. Where is all this coming from? Amadeus asked with a raised eyebrow. Look, just don't try hacking my stuff again, Maddie said as she began walking away. Hey Nat, Clint greeted gently as Natasha opened her eyes. Welcome back to the land of the... Clint was interrupted by Nat slamming into him and engulfing him in a hug. Hey, what's... Clint froze as he heard the sound of his longtime friend crying. He saw the footage. He knew Nat was on the brink of death, and honestly that has happened before. But what the hell was so different this time? Sure, it's okay, I got ya. The strongest, most badass person he knew was crying. Just what the hell did Constantine do to her? Abigail Brand groaned as she opened her eyes and sat up. Son of a bitch, that hurt. She groaned. Before looking around, she was in a large bedroom and a chair next to the bed she was on. On said chair sat Naruto, sleeping and snoring rather cutely. Brand went to lift her right hand and found it held firm in Naruto's. She tried to gently get it back, but the blonde held it in a firmer grip. Glad to see you're awake. Brand looked up and her green eyes met his blue. I died, didn't I? Abby muttered as Naruto nodded. It was horrible. I was in so much pain. Abby, I'm so sorry you had to go through all that, Naruto said with a frown. I know it hurts to remember, but we need to talk about it. I can't. There's something I need to tell you that, admittedly, I should have told you at the beginning, Naruto said as Abby stared at him. The look in her eyes was blank, the polar opposite of her usual ones, the green eyes that held a fire in them. When people who are aware of the supernatural die and come back, we remember things, glimpses of what lies ahead for us. What did you see? Abby asked quietly. A bright light, Naruto answered as Abby's eyes widened. I take it that's what you saw as well? I did, Abby muttered as Naruto smiled. That's good, it means you were heading for a good place, Naruto said as he sighed. It's better than the other place, trust me on that. I know that, but what bothers me the most is that I died. I died a painful, pathetic death. Abby now had tears in her eyes. I just want to forget it all. Can't you just wipe my memory or something? I could, but I don't want to. So you won't help me? Abby screamed in outrage. I will help you anyway. Apart from that, memories, be it bad and good, shape us. It is much better to just overcome it and move on, Naruto said as Abby wiped her tears. I understand, but... Abby paused before her hand touched his face. When I died, it was like I didn't exist anymore. Like I couldn't touch the world and the world couldn't touch me. It was like I didn't matter. I'm sorry you felt that way, but you do matter, Naruto said gently as he grabbed her hand. Then prove it. I don't understand, Naruto said confusingly. Make love to me. While Naruto couldn't finish his sentence as Abby jumped on him. Her lips met his in a kiss. Blackheart stared at his arms in rage. He would never forget the day the Hellblazer pulled out his original ones and cursed him. For a demon of his power, growing back limbs was child's play. But the Hellblazer had him cursed to never grow back his arms. Even his tail wasn't spared. His red eyes narrowed at the city of Silent Hill. The damn thing was still standing after all these years. Father ordered not to do anything too damaging to it. It would be used to trap that damned Hellblazer. But that didn't mean he couldn't send a few lesser demons at it, to keep the many survivors hiding in it on their toes. Maybe he could find little Astrid and R.A. Don't even think about it. A voice came from behind him. If he found out, which he would, the Hellblazer would wear your skin as his new coat. Sister, Blackheart turned and there she was. His sister who he wanted with his every being. He wanted to fuck her so badly, but she didn't seem to want him. All she wanted was that damned Hellblazer. You're plotting against your soon-to-be brother-in-law. Mephisto grinned as he stiffed at that. Him, be related to that thing? Since father doesn't want you plotting against the Hellblazer just yet, I know someone who will. Hello there, little demon. Blackheart turned only to find the face of a smiling Umar. Let's have a little chat. Naruto stared at the knocked-out bodies before him. 2 females in their middle ages. These 2 would be his sacrifices. The blonde held out his hands before firing a yellow light at the 2 women. They both began to float in the air while he began chanting in Latin or something. Death, hear me now, I summon thee. The 2 bodies suddenly fused together, the flesh, bone morphing into a humanoid shape, muscles, skin and bone forming a new being. This new being was an extremely beautiful woman. She was tall with a slightly muscular body, ash-white skin, purple eyes and long flowing black hair. My sweet beloved, it's been a while, the woman spoke as she floated down to Naruto's level. What can yours truly do for you? Silent Hill, is it still around? Naruto asked as Lady Death raised an eyebrow. You're just figuring it out right now? She asked in amusement. Mephisto was planning on using it against you. I see, Naruto said calmly as Lady Death stared with a bit of surprise. This is the part where you demand for me to tell you why I didn't tell you about Silent Hill. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Your death itself? Who am I to tell you what to do? Huh, Death said as she frowned. I thought we'd yell at each other. A bit of a back and forth, then we'd have some make-up sex. You even gave me this nice body, Death said as she spread her hands. Look at these boobs, they're huge. I don't know what to tell you, Naruto shrugged. Normally I'm all for sex, but Dormammu is after me and I simply don't have the time. So bye, I guess. Wait, you're just gonna leave me like this? What about Shikla's curse? You have to fuck someone or you'll die. That's been taken care of, Naruto said before turning around. Have a good one, my lady. Wait, you can use the Power Stone. Death called out, making Naruto turn to her. Dormammu is powerful, but not even he can outmatch an Infinity Stone. I'm pretty sure if I hold the thing I might explode, Naruto said with a raised eyebrow. Besides, thing's been missing for years now. I know a spell that can help you on that front, and I know where the Power Stone is hidden, Death said as she walked towards him. I can give you these things. And what do you want in return? A good fuck, Death grinned as her hands went up to his face. Why are you like this? Like what? Death asked before she pulled Naruto in and kissed him. Aurora Monroe sighed as she entered her room. Today had been real stressful and all she wanted to do was kick back, relax and, hey babe. As soon as she flipped the light switch on, her boyfriend was seated on her bed, without his trench coat. What's wrong? Aurora knew Naruto like the back of her hand. For someone that everyone thought was mysterious, he had a lot of tells. Most people would call him a god for things he's done and can do. But to her he was just a man she had fallen for and loved dearly. One of his tells was him not wearing his trench coat. Would you like to go to space with me? Excuse me, what? Hello bitches, Death grinned as she walked out of a portal. You seem happy? Mephisto said as she folded her arms. What happened? Our dear Naruto gave me a good fucking, Death said, causing Satana to pout. Lucky, she muttered bitterly. Hey Umar, does you little false demigod trick work with any form of DNA? Death asked as she turned to the immortal. As long as it's a lot, yes, Umar answered with a raised eyebrow. Why do you ask? If I happen to have some of Naruto's DNA, would you make something useful out of it? Death asked as Umar looked thoughtful. Maybe? That's good enough for me, Death said as she smirked. Why don't you come get some? In a flash of pink, a large bed appeared behind Death, and she took a seat at the edge. She then spread her legs wide open, showing her freshly fucked pussy leaking cum. Why, you can't be serious, Umar said as she stared at Death with wide eyes. Come over here and lick it out, Death grinned savagely. Quickly now, while it's still warm. I'll do it. Satana quickly perked up. Let me just. Don't move, you cum slut. Mephisto held her back. Can't you see it's a power move? Umar, with a sneer on her face, slowly walked up to Death and fell on her knees. Now eat me out. Umar glared up at Death before she leaned in. She was going to take it slow, but Death had other plans. She grabbed Umar's head and forced into her vagina. Next time you plan behind my back, not even your immortality will save you. Death glared as her eyes glowed purple with power. End chapter of Arthur's Thoughts. That's not right. Author's note. Naruto will go to space. Naruto will also not go to space. I added Storm in cause I saw some porn of her. Also because she's cool-headed, loyal, brave and beautiful. Thanos doesn't know Death is fucking somebody else. I mean, how the fuck would he know that? But imagine if he finds out. I don't know what he'll do. Also, I hate this chapter because I experienced what people call burnout. I just simply crushed and was mentally unstable. Thankfully porn got me through it. Moving on. I think I won't do a complete backstory of Naruto's background. Part of Constantine's charm is that you don't really know who he is. So with that said, I need sleep. Bonus scene. Astrid Logue walked through the streets of Silent Hill with a frown on her face. It would be dark soon and Blackheart's minions would begin walking around. She remembered that day, the day things changed. She was 12 when the entire town she lived in got dragged into hell. Now she had to fight for her life every goddamn night. Demons flooding the city looking for a good time. She has had to fight for her life for 10 years. 10 fucking years. She was an adult now. She was tired of waiting for someone to come down here and save her. She was going to find out why all this happened and save her town. Astra was a black young 22-year-old woman with short curly black hair. She was dressed in black jeans and a black jacket over a white shirt and black leather boots. The jacket had a hood on it. Looky what we have here, boys. Astra looked up at the sky. It was already night. 3 lower demons stood behind her. The street was empty. Everyone was following protocol. When it's dark, be inside. Not the most catchy, but that's all they had. Must be one of them slayers. One demon sneered. Astra turned and came face to face with 3 ugly bastards. All 3 were as tall as normal human males. But they had brownish skin and red eyes. Their faces looked like that of a bat but somehow uglier. This one's mine. One sneered before it ran at her. The thing leaped off the ground and Astra, only for Astra to pull out a blade and cut off its head. The other 2 ran at her and Astra threw a knife at one's head. The knife hit it straight between the eyes and it died instantly. The one ducked at her swipe and tackled her to the ground. The thing tried to bite off her head but she blocked it with her blade. The thing had more strength than her, and was slowly pushing down. Bang! The face that was snarling at her suddenly exploded, showering Astra's face in blood and gore. God damn it, Alexandra! Astra pushed the headless corpse off her. I had that one. I'm sure you did, a male voice said. Wait! That was not Alexandra. Let's get you all cleaned up now. The man slowly stepped up to her and offered his hand. Astra looked up at his face. The face of a man who was worshipped in all of Silent Hill, the face of a man she hadn't seen in a long, long time. Come Astrid, take my hand. The fucking hellblazer,